Strange signals rise in quiet rooms. A subtle pull in the air, a presence that stirs inner senses long before the mind forms any clear thought. Many feel this ripple yet misunderstand its nature. It is not a force sent to frighten, it is a reflection of your own inner terrain, pressing gently from the edges, asking for recognition through silence rather than noise. Shaolin wisdom states that the place you live in mirrors the world inside your chest. Walls, corners, forgotten spaces, each section echoes layers of memory, tension, and strength. When a hidden tone inside the spirit begins to shift, the external space responds. That sensation of something lingering in the background signals an inner awakening, a call to turn toward truths long left in shadow. In this journey, I guide you through the meaning behind that mysterious presence. You will learn how silent energies rise whenever growth begins. You will gain insight into the Shaolin view of inner clarity, where the unseen is never danger but guidance. I share targeted teachings on breath, stillness, and awareness that reveal subtle patterns rarely discussed outside temple walls. Stay until the final moment, because each layer builds upon the next. By the end, you will understand why certain sensations arrive before breakthroughs, why your living space reacts to your emotional evolution, and why chosen spirits sense shifts long before others notice anything. This message supports those rising into deeper mastery. This message strengthens those stepping into inner alignment. This message invites you to witness a truth beneath ordinary sight. Welcome to our channel, Shaolin Soulfire. Subscribe and continue this path of clarity and inner power. Silent moments speak with a strength that loud days can never match. Many overlook this. They move quickly, filling every pause with noise, unaware that the most important truths only approach when the world grows quiet around them. In the Shaolin path, stillness is not emptiness. Stillness is preparation. Stillness is a blade sharpened without sound. When I was young in the temple, my master would often stop me in the middle of training. He placed a single leaf on the ground and asked me to sit before it. No movement, no thought, just breath. At first, nothing happened. Then, the longer the silence held me, the more the unseen layers of my mind began to rise. Memories I ignored, feelings I buried, questions I refused to face, all emerged like figures stepping out from behind a curtain. This is why so many people sense a presence in their home when they step into deep stillness. The presence is not an intruder. It is the return of parts of yourself finally strong enough to be heard. The mind that stops running begins to reveal what has always been waiting. In these moments, awareness shifts. You begin watching your thoughts rather than drowning in them. You become the observer instead of the one pulled by every inner ripple. Shaolin masters say that the moment you become the watcher, the unseen becomes visible. Old attachments loosen. Emotional clutter rises like dust disturbed by a sudden breeze. Suppressed truth, once hidden in the corners of your inner house, steps forward. This movement can feel like a gaze upon you, but the gaze is your own consciousness awakening to itself. Stillness is never passive. It is a meeting, a confrontation, a revelation reserved for those willing to listen beyond noise. Rooms carry stories long after the body has forgotten them. A home may seem silent, yet every corner holds a trace of who you have been, what you have survived, and what your spirit still carries. The ancients often compared the mind to a dwelling, a structure built not from stone but from memory, emotion, and belief. When you walk through your home, you are also walking through the unseen architecture of your inner world. In Shaolin teachings, each part of the living space has a symbolic reflection. The doorway mirrors your openness to new experiences. The kitchen represents nourishment of both body and intention. The bedroom reflects the quality of your rest and the clarity of your dreams. Even the forgotten corners resemble the mind's hidden chambers, where old tensions settle like dust that has not been touched in years. What many call a presence in the house is often these quiet, unresolved energies rising when your awareness sharpens, not supernatural, not foreign, simply the echoes of emotions you once pushed aside because life demanded strength before reflection. As your consciousness grows, these echoes grow louder, they want closure, They want recognition. They want release. Those on the path of inner mastery feel this most deeply. Their senses are trained to detect subtle shifts, changes in atmosphere, vibrations in stillness, the silent weight of something unresolved. Discipline sharpens perception, and perception reveals the truths hiding beneath daily habits. The house becomes a mirror that never lies. It reflects clutter when the mind is crowded, disorder when emotions are tangled, and harmony when intention is steady. When something stirs within that space, it is often a sign that a deeper layer of the self is ready to be understood. With awareness, each room becomes a teacher. With discipline, the entire house becomes a sanctuary. There are moments when an unexpected emotion rises like a visitor knocking gently on the door of your awareness, a sudden heaviness, a forgotten memory, a feeling you thought you outgrew. Shaolin monks refer to this as the guest mind, the thoughts and emotions that enter without warning, often uninvited, often misunderstood. These inner guests are not enemies, though they may feel unsettling. They are simply parts of yourself waiting to be acknowledged. In the temple, novices are taught that the mind is not a single stream but a gathering of many voices shaped by past experiences. Some voices speak openly. Others retreat into shadow when life becomes overwhelming. These are the shadow energies, unresolved fears, hidden grief, quiet disappointments, and old beliefs that never received closure. When silence deepens or awareness sharpens, they step forward. Many people react with resistance. They distract themselves. They push the feeling down. They treat the shadow as a threat. But ancient teachings warn that anything ignored grows heavier. Avoidance feeds anxiety. Suppression tightens the chest. The more you run from a shadow, the more it follows, not out of malice, but out of longing to be understood. Shaolin training encourages meeting these inner guests with clarity rather than fear. Sit with the feeling, observe it, name it, allow it to exist without judgment. In doing so, you transform the shadow into a teacher. It reveals what still needs healing, what still influences your choices, what still shapes your reactions. Integration is the path to mastery. When a shadow is brought into awareness, it loses its sharpness, it softens, it becomes part of your strength. Discipline helps you face it, wisdom helps you understand it, and courage helps you release it. Every shadow that rises is not a warning, it is an invitation, an opening into deeper self-knowledge, a step toward a more unified and peaceful inner world. There is a moment in practice when the mind shifts from reacting to witnessing, a small, almost imperceptible turning of attention inward. This is the beginning of the inner watcher, the part of you that observes thoughts, emotions, and sensations without being swept away by them. Mindfulness is the training of this watcher. It teaches you to look without judgment, to listen without tension, to stand in the center of your experience with steady breath and a clear gaze. In ancient teachings, the watcher is described as a lamp carried into a dark room. The room may hold old memories, forgotten emotions, or fears that once felt too heavy to face. But the lamp does not force anything to change. It simply illuminates, and in that gentle light, everything becomes less threatening. The shadows lose their shape. The unknown becomes defined. The inner landscape becomes understandable. Many people fear their own thoughts because they mistake them for truth. They confuse passing emotions with identity, but the inner watcher reveals a deeper reality. Thoughts arise and pass like clouds drifting across an open sky. Emotions surge and dissolve. Even fears transform when met with awareness instead of avoidance. When you become truly present, awareness fills the inner room where your shadow has been hiding. This presence does not attack or chase the shadow away. It softens it. Fear begins to unravel. Confusion turns into understanding. And what once felt like a threat becomes a message, one that guides you toward healing and strength. This shift marks the first step into self-mastery, not through force, but through calm recognition, through the discipline of staying present even when the inner world stirs, through the wisdom of knowing that awareness itself is power, and through the quiet courage to watch everything within you without turning away. There are people who walk into a room and instantly sense what others miss. a slight change in the air, a heaviness that wasn't there before, a quiet pull in the atmosphere that carries meaning without words. These are the chosen ones, individuals whose awareness has sharpened beyond ordinary perception. Their sensitivity is not a burden, though many misunderstand it. It is a sign that the inner senses have awakened. In Shaolin tradition, such sensitivity is cultivated through disciplined practice. Monks learn to listen not only with their ears, but with their whole being. They feel the flow of breath in the space around them. They sense the emotional residues left behind by others. They recognize energetic shifts the way a seasoned tracker reads the ground. This ability is not mystical. It is the natural result of a mind no longer dulled by distraction. Those who carry this heightened perception often grew through hardship, solitude, or deep introspection. Life forced them to pay attention. Their spirit developed a quiet radar, picking up subtle vibrations long before the mind puts them into language. Where others only see a room, they see patterns. Where others hear silence, they hear the movement of unspoken truths. Many chosen ones worry that they feel too much. They absorb tension quickly. They notice disharmony instantly. But sensitivity, when understood, becomes strength. It allows you to detect imbalance before it becomes chaos. It helps you read situations with accuracy others cannot achieve. It guides you away from deceptive paths and toward alignment. Shaolin teachings remind us that awareness is the first doorway to inner power. When you sense more, you understand more. When you understand more, you act with precision. And when you act with precision, you transform your life with intention rather than chance. Sensitivity is not fragility. It is perception refined. It is intuition sharpened. It is the mark of someone standing at the threshold of mastery. Some moments in life leave marks so subtle that we barely notice them at the time. A disappointment we brushed aside. A heartbreak we pretended to rise above. A fear we numbed instead of understanding. These experiences don't vanish. They settle quietly in the inner space, becoming what ancient practitioners call emotional echoes. They linger like faint vibrations, waiting for the right moment to rise again. Every dwelling holds traces of these echoes, not as spirits or shadows, but as impressions of the feelings once carried within its walls. When a person begins to evolve, when clarity grows, when discipline strengthens, when awareness deepens, those old energies start to react. They sense the shift. They loosen from the corners of the mind and the atmosphere around you. Suddenly, the room feels different. The air seems to move. Something stirs that cannot be explained by everyday logic. This movement is not a sign of danger. It is the inner world reorganizing itself. Old emotional patterns come forward because they recognize that you finally have the strength to face them. The echoes surface not to haunt you, but to release themselves. Growth creates a kind of internal light, and anything unresolved naturally travels toward this light, hoping to transform. In Shaolin understanding, this process is a cleansing by awareness. When the spirit rises to a new level, the old layers can no longer stay hidden. They rise to be emptied, they shift so they can be let go. This is why chosen ones sense such changes more vividly. Their perception picks up the subtle tremors of transformation. If the environment feels alive, it is because your consciousness is in motion. The deeper self is rearranging patterns, clearing space, and preparing the mind for greater clarity. These echoes are simply reminders that you are stepping into a new chapter, one where nothing unresolved can remain in the dark. There comes a time when life stops whispering and begins to press more firmly against your awareness. Subtle discomfort appears. The atmosphere around you feels different. A quiet nudge grows stronger, as if something in the environment is trying to get your attention. This is not coincidence. In ancient teachings, such moments are known as the call for alignment, a signal that the inner world is no longer willing to move in a direction that contradicts your deeper truth. When a person drifts away from their authentic path, the spirit sends signs long before the mind recognizes them. Small frustrations multiply. Rooms feel heavier, rest becomes shallow. The world around you begins to mirror your internal imbalance. That hidden presence people often sense is not an external force, but an inner reminder growing louder. It symbolizes a part of you that refuses to remain in silence, a part that knows the path you are meant to walk. This presence does not push with fear, it pushes with purpose. It rises to bring you back to discipline, clarity, and focus. It urges you to examine what you've ignored and realign with the commitments you once made to yourself. Every misalignment creates tension. Every step away from truth creates noise. The environment reacts because your spirit is calling you back to center. In the Shaolin perspective, alignment is the foundation of mastery. When the outer and inner worlds match, energy flows freely. Decisions become sharp. Intuition strengthens. Life moves with rhythm instead of resistance. The universe supports those who walk in accordance with their authentic nature. And when it senses divergence, it sends reminders, sometimes subtle, sometimes strong, to guide you toward your next level. If your space feels like it is speaking, it is because a deeper harmony is seeking to return. The call is not punishment. It is invitation. It is direction. It is the moment you are being asked to rise. Strength begins not in the muscles, nor in the accolades one gathers, but in the quiet chambers of the mind and heart. In Shaolin teachings, the foundation of mastery lies in inner cleansing, a deliberate purification of thought, emotion, and intention. Without this, energy becomes stagnant. Decisions lose clarity. The spirit grows heavy under the weight of unprocessed experiences. In the temple, novices learn early that stillness alone is not enough. The breath must be trained, the mind observed, and intention aligned. Breathwork is a tool to sweep away the residue of stress and unresolved tension. Each conscious inhalation and exhalation moves hidden blocks, shaking loose old energies lodged in body and mind. Silence, practiced without distraction, allows the inner observer to notice what the mind often ignores: subtle anxieties, unexamined beliefs, lingering doubts. Intention transforms this awareness into action, directing energy toward what truly matters. Discipline is the vessel that sustains this practice. It is the repeated choice to return to breath, to presence, to clarity, even when the outer world is noisy or when old habits tug insistently. In Shaolin philosophy, such discipline is not punishment. It is respect for oneself, for the mind, for the spirit. It is the cultivation of an inner environment where strength can arise naturally, like a tree rooted in rich soil. This cleansing is not mystical. It is not about ritual or superstition. It is psychological hygiene, a structured care of the inner life. It is spiritual maintenance, ensuring that the energy circulating within is clear, resilient, and adaptable. Those who practice this daily find that their presence becomes steadier, their choices sharper, and their understanding of self deeper. Inner cleansing transforms the unseen chaos into a sanctuary where mastery is born, not through force, but through clarity and intention. True mastery begins at a threshold. The path of the chosen is lined with doors that must be opened from within, not forced from the outside. Shaolin teachings speak of two gates: courage and clarity. Both demand presence, both require discipline, and both test the depth of one's inner commitment. They are not simply steps along a path, they are the essence of transformation itself. The gate of courage asks for honesty with oneself. It is the willingness to face truths long buried, fears that have shaped decisions, doubts that have whispered at the edges of confidence, and memories that still carry unseen weight. Standing before this gate can feel daunting. The shadows within seem larger, the silence heavier. Yet courage is not absence of fear. It is stepping forward in spite of it. To pass this gate is to claim the power of awareness, to let the inner observer witness without fleeing or resisting. The gate of clarity is the companion of courage. After facing the inner truth, one must discern what belongs in the path forward and what must be released. Old patterns, limiting beliefs, attachments that no longer serve the spirit, they are gently laid aside, like stones removed from a path to make way for new growth. Clarity is not instant insight. It is cultivated through reflection, stillness, and the disciplined attention that Shaolin practice nurtures. It is the light that transforms confusion into understanding. Crossing these gates is alchemy of the spirit. Fear no longer controls the mind. Emotional clutter dissolves into insight. Energy that once scattered is focused. Courage and clarity together create wisdom born from experience rather than instruction. The chosen ones who learn to move through these thresholds do not merely survive their inner trials, they rise through them, stronger, steadier, and aligned with the deeper currents of life. These gates mark the passage from reaction to mastery, from uncertainty to deliberate power. There comes a moment when the shadows that linger in your home, both physical and internal, begin to shift. They no longer feel like intruders or threats. They are parts of your own being, waiting quietly for recognition. In the wisdom of Shaolin, what is hidden is not meant to frighten. It seeks only one thing: acceptance. When the inner world is met with awareness instead of resistance, the unseen becomes familiar, and the familiar becomes powerful. In practice, this transformation begins with acknowledgement. The rooms of the mind that once felt cluttered or heavy are explored with calm attention. Emotions that stirred unease are observed without judgment. Thoughts that felt chaotic are noted, named, and understood. Each hidden corner, once a source of tension, becomes a teacher. Each suppressed feeling, once avoided, becomes a guide. The energy that once caused fear now supports clarity and resilience. Discipline is key in this process. It is the steady choice to face discomfort rather than escape it. It is the cultivation of patience when the shadows resist illumination. Shaolin masters teach that the mind, like a room, must be cleaned regularly. Only then can space be created for growth, strength, and insight. The practice of turning hidden energies into known allies is both a form of inner hygiene and an art of spiritual refinement. Through this approach, mastery is no longer an abstract goal but a lived experience. The hidden becomes a source of guidance, the difficult becomes a tool for growth, and the internal landscape becomes harmonious rather than chaotic. Personal power does not come from control over the world outside, but from the ability to transform the world within. The shadows you once feared are now allies, lending their wisdom to the steady, deliberate cultivation of a mind and spirit aligned with truth. Every presence we sense, every subtle shift in our environment reflects the currents of our own inner world. The hidden energies that seem to stir around you are not forces to fear. They are signals, teachers, guiding you toward clarity, balance, and strength. By practicing Shaolin stillness, observing your thoughts and emotions with care, and approaching your inner shadows with courage and discipline, you create a space where fear transforms into understanding and chaos becomes calm. Take these lessons into your daily life. Pause in moments of tension. Notice what lingers beneath the surface of your mind. Allow yourself to face what you have avoided, not with judgment, but with gentle awareness. In doing so, your home and your inner world alike become sanctuaries of clarity, resilience, and alignment. Remember, mastery is not a distant goal. It is cultivated one mindful step at a time. Every choice to observe, to release, and to integrate brings you closer to the harmony your spirit seeks. Thank you for joining us on this journey. May your inner presence guide you steadily, and may the spaces you inhabit reflect the strength and calm within. If you found this guidance meaningful, subscribe to Shaolin Soulfire and continue walking the path of clarity, courage, and inner mastery.